So today we're going to walk through how to configure a query task. So we've opened up our task panel. We can see the total number of tasks here. You can either jump to the query dropdown to create a task that way, or you can go right here and create a new query task. And you'll notice that we already have some query tasks that we've created. And here you can edit one that already exists. You can clone. So let's say you have a query on the account object that you want to reuse or use it in a different way. You can go ahead and clone, and this is how you would remove. So let's create a new one together. And the first thing you're going to do is select the object that you want to run this query against. So this list is going to be based on what you selected in data modeling. So let's just go ahead and select opportunity. And because we've already created a query task against the opportunity, it's saying opportunity query 2. And you can come up with your own name here. So it just could be something like get all opportunities. And the different modes up here, we're going to go through them in a second. Standard is when you do not need a user to provide any type of input. You just want to run this query based on filters or no filters and get the records that match it. Max records, you can set this. If you leave it blank, then it will just get everything, every record that matches your filter logic. Or you could come in here and restrict it and just say, get me the first 1,000. And the final piece in here is if you're in the standard mode, if you leave it like this, it's going to get every single opportunity that the user has access to. If you go in and add filters, this is where you can start playing around with the different filters. This list is also driven off of data modeling. So these are the fields that we selected for the opportunity, and I'll show you actually adding an account field in a second. So you can come in here, add a stage, and you can play around with the different filters. So in, not equal to, not in. You can play around with the filter types as well. You'll see there's an Excel reference, name range reference. And if I was to choose, let's say equals, this is where you could come in and say, I just want to see the opportunities where the stage equals negotiation review. And you can add more filters as well. So you could say equals these two. And then you can do something like 1 or 2. So you can play around with the filter logic. You can add as many filters as you would like. You can even add filters to a related object. So we're querying the opportunity, but we can jump into the account. These are the fields that we selected in data modeling as well. And I could say, I want to grab a field on the account like region, and I want to add a filter here as well. And if you find yourself at this point and you're missing a field that you want to use in a filter, you could just go ahead and click on this, add more fields. And this will look into the object that we're running the query against, in this case opportunities, and you can just go ahead and add that field. If it's a pick list, you'll be able to get a quick snapshot of what those pick list values are, but I could come in and say, campaign, and click OK. And when I say add filter, campaign is now available to filter off of. So this is a standard query, and we'll jump into the user selection now. So the difference between standard and user selection is standard, there's not going to be a screen provided to a user. It's just going to run and get that data based on that query and its filters. User selection full is when you want a user to be able to pick and provide their own filter logic and then select records to retrieve. So two different scenarios here as well. You can let it set up that users can pick multiple records, or if you select single select, then a user will only be able to select a single record. And then this bottom section here is there's two sections that you need to fill out. One is what fields do you want the user to be able to search by? So you could say, I want them to be able to search by the opportunity name. And the order is when this table is built for the user, this will be the first thing in the left-hand corner, name. And you can change the operators here as well. So you could say contains, and then display is going to be the bottom section of the table that as a user is providing their filters, the bottom table, when they search, will show things like the opportunity names in the first column and so on and so on. So I could say I want to search by name, I want to search by stage. If it's a pick list like this is and you choose equal, then a user will be able to select a single pick list value. If you choose in, then a user will be able to select multiple pick list values. And I can then do display as well. If you want to rearrange these things in an order, you can do this pretty easily, just like this. The other thing in here is, just like in the standard, you can add related fields as well. So I can jump up to the account, come in here, and it'll show me that this field's coming from the account itself actually. And then the difference between the user selection full and user selection compact is that there's just going to be a search. So if the user doesn't need to see as they're searching what the display results are before rendering the data, then you could just use a user selection compact. You'll have the same search capabilities, be able to filter, and then when you click next, it will just find every record that matched whatever parameters the user put in there. And then finally, you can also, for that user selection, jump into filters as well. This is taking my old one that we just showed a second ago. And that's how you create different queries based on if you want the user to be able to select things, whether you want to come up with your own filter logic, whether it's static, whether it's user-driven. But there's 3 different modes, and then you can add as many filters as you would like, and also have that filter logic down here where you can have and/or capabilities.